Hey, what's going on, everybody? So we're only a few days away from the full release of Grounded 1.0 is coming on September 27th of 2022. We're going to cover 14 different things that I think everybody either wants or is excited about, but we're definitely not going to get. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Number 14 being Tier 4 weapons and armor. So if you can look here, we're already at the armor here, just in the inventory. You can see that basically we have tier 1, which is your beginning armor. Tier 2 is the like the mid tier, obviously, and then tier 3 is the upper yard armor that we're really starting to get. And then from the sandbox and stuff like that, and the Mask of the Mother Demon from the Broodmother. So a lot of people have wanted better gear in terms of weapons, like a better spear, better dagger. They want them to do more damage and not break as much. That's just not going to happen. We're going to see tier 3 be the max tier, I believe. If at anything, they just add more to the tier 3, because you can see here, especially with weapons, there's only 5 tier 3 weapons. So adding a whole nother tier, to me, doesn't make much sense. I think obviously we just see more added to the tier 3 weapons that we already have. All right, jumping into number 13. This one's going to be a bit of an issue for a lot of people. So the introduction of shared worlds was their way of trying to make multiplayer a better experience. But multiplayer, the issue isn't the ability to share worlds. That's a great idea. But the biggest thing has been the disconnectivity of multiplayer itself. You could be in the same room or even in the same house, playing with somebody, and you're still going to experience that rubber band effect. The issue of when you're running and you get pulled back, or blocking an insect's attack and it not registering, or even hitting an insect and it not registering. That's one of the biggest issues with multiplayer, and I don't see that getting fixed with 1.0, especially with the lack of success that shared worlds will have. Jumping from that one, we're going to go ahead and jump into number 12. So number 12, kind of piggybacking off of the fact of shared worlds and everything, is dedicated servers. A lot of people advocated for dedicated servers on the game. That's just not going to happen, especially with the introduction of shared worlds. That was kind of their way to provide dedicated servers without actually providing dedicated servers. So that's definitely not going to happen. On to number 11. Alright, so number 11 is going to be DLC. Now, a lot of people really want a sequel already, and the first game isn't even released yet, and a lot of people are talking about DLC. That's just not going to happen. People want to go into the house, they want to go into other backyards, and it's just not going to happen. The game is going to be one and done. You're going to have Grounded, they're working on the TV show, and if that has any amount of success, maybe they do look at DLC in the future. But with 1.0, the biggest thing you're only going to see is bug fixes and any kind of game-breaking issues that arise from 1.0. I could see them working on that, but as far as DLC, it's just not going to happen. All right, let's go ahead and jump into number 10. All right, so number 10, talking about DLC, one of the other things is a bigger area to explore, a bigger backyard, and the ability to travel into other backyards. Kind of what we were seeing with DLC, people want to go in the house, people want to go to other backyards, or maybe over to the gas station or what have you. It's just not going to happen. This is the backyard where everything is taking place, and that's the only place we're going to be able to explore. So obviously we still have a lot of the map to explore itself. We have what looks to be under the shed. If you've seen the whiteboard in the I believe in the Oak Lab, where it shows the field stations, and there's like 2 or 3 that are under the shed. So that's a possibility. We have this whole upper northeast corner, and then the upper pond area, as well as a potential upper hedge area, which a lot of people are thinking where we see a mantis or a blackwood or something like that. So we are not getting any other backyards. We're not going into the house. We're not going anywhere else. So let's go ahead and jump into number 9. All right, jumping into number 9, one of the other things a lot of people have speculated about us having is other larger creatures in the backyard. We obviously have the crow, which drops feathers, which is a resource for the game. A lot of people have said maybe we should get a squirrel that lives up in the tree, and then that's how the acorns fall down, because it doesn't make sense for the acorns to just be on the ground every single day. And I just don't see that happening. First off, the crow has had issues in the past with desyncing and the resources being dropped from it. So I don't see us getting other insects or creatures. And another thing is, if they're on the ground, they're going to be too big for us. So a dog or a cat, even though there's footprints out there for animals like that, I believe that this is a controlled environment. So everything that's in the backyard that we have right now is here for a reason. So the crow is obviously for us to have crow feathers. They could potentially add a squirrel up in the tree, but right now we're literally days away from 1.0. And if nobody has discovered that that's going to be a thing that happens, then we're obviously not going to get it. So no giant snakes. I could see maybe a snail, but no giant snakes, no cats, no dogs, no squirrel, no nothing like that. So there we go with number 9. Let's go ahead and jump to number 8. All right, so we're going to go with number 8 as being one of the things that people have clamored for with Grounded for the longest time, as long as I can remember anyway. and that's going to be mounts. How cool it would be to have a roly-poly or a ladybug to ride around on in a battle or something like that, or a bee to fly around on to get around a map. The map is not big enough to constitute having a flying mount, let alone any mount in its own way, because right now the best thing we have is pets, and even those don't work properly. So trying to have a mount in the game, is it going to stay with us? Will it be a pet that stays in our house? Can we just ride insects randomly? What about the aggressive insects like bees? If we get too close, they're going to attack us. So all of a sudden you're just going to say that we can jump on a bee and ride it without it trying to attack us or do anything? Mounts are not going to happen. If you're looking for mounts, there's another game that's kind of similar to Grounded that could be coming out in the future where you get your mounts. Let's go ahead and jump to number 7. Alright, so number 7 has kind of been a pet peeve for me and a lot of other content creators, because when we're trying to do some research on things, it's really difficult for us to be able to do that when we don't have the numbers for stuff. So numbers for anything, whether that be the chances that are shown on the armors, like if it tells us there's a chance for something to proc, or for the weapons there's a chance for something to proc, we're not going to get those numbers. We're not going to get numbers for hit points, for the characters, for the insects, nothing like that. We're not going to get numbers for damage dealt and damage taken, anything like that. The best thing we have is this little line that they've added down on the bottom left here that kind of lets us know where 100% is, and then we can kind of go off of that. And then a lot more into detail is doing an attack on an insect or taking damage from an insect, figuring out how much damage that does, and then going off of there. So we're not going to get any of that. We're too far into the game right now and too close to early release for that to happen. Let's go ahead and jump to number 6. Alright, number 6 is going to be a quick sort option for our inventory or chest. So we do have the option right here. You can see hot deposit. We can hot deposit, and that's going to put stuff in here. But what that's not going to do is automatically sort it. So when we come in here and we hot deposit stuff into our inventory, if it's going to be the max amount of one thing, it's just going to put it up to the top left. It's going to put it into the first available slot. When you do come in here, if you have OCD like me, you're going to want things in a certain area. So when you just go throw them in there, that's not going to happen. And also when you die, everything, we have defrag here. When you die, all of your stuff just gets all jumbled up in your inventory. When you're in battle, you want things in a certain way. If you want to know where your smoothies are, if you want to know where your food is and stuff like that, or your weapons and tools and stuff, we don't have that instant sort option, and we're not going to get it. So moving on to number 5, which is something similar to this, let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so number 5 is another hot topic item that a lot of people have requested, and I just don't see it happening this late in the game, this close to 1.0, and that's going to be a bigger backpack. They've constantly stated that inventory management is a part of survival games, which it is, but one of the other things that people have clamored for is the ability to not have the hotbar items take up inventory space. You see this in a lot of other games where if you have it in the hotbar, it's not going to be here in your inventory, which makes sense. If you have it on you as a person, technically it shouldn't be in your backpack, right? But we don't see that happening anytime soon. Potentially with milk molars being an upgrade, but I don't see them increasing the inventory space at all right now. The inventory, the way they have this screen set up right now, is kind of already set in stone with what they have, and I don't think we're going to be getting that anytime soon. Let's go ahead and jump to the next one. Alright, so number 4 is going to be the ability to dodge or roll during combat. The combat itself has gotten pretty stale over time. As you can see, once you learn the attack patterns of the insects, you really get a better idea of how to perfect block, and then dealing with the insects is not really an issue. And that's going to be a problem going forward too, when we have other insects that we're fighting, whether it be the black widow or the mantis or anything like that. The ability to dodge or roll or like parry and then get a bigger attack, a counter attack or something like that, would really change up the way the game works, and I think would make combat more exciting. But we're definitely not getting that with 1.0, so don't hold your breath on that one. Alright, jumping into number 3, let's go. Alright, number 3 is going to be something that I've seen a lot of people ask about, and that's going to be creating our own character. Obviously the game has a very in-depth story, which the characters themselves are involved in, so I don't see them allowing us to create our own characters that would just make no sense in the game. And even going to that further on that fact, I don't really see them allowing us to customize our gear that we have to make it more personal, to kind of identify as your own character going forward. I don't see that being anything that we're going to get anytime soon. So, especially with the TV show coming out, that's going to be kind of their way to delve more into the story with Wendell and the teens, and potentially the missing teens that we saw on the newscast. So the ability to create our own character is not going to happen. All right, jumping down here, let's go ahead and into number 2. All right, jumping into number 2, I think we're kind of close on the path of doing this, to getting the numbers and everything. And that was using the peeper to gain information on the insects. So we talked about the numbers earlier, and I thought with us getting the number, or getting the weaknesses and resistances and everything like that from the insects for peeping them and getting the card, we now have gold cards as well, but the gold cards don't do anything for us. The only way I see this being something added to the game is basically an achievement on Steam and Xbox. That if you collect all the gold cards, then you basically get that achievement, and it makes you feel good if you're one of those 100% completionist players to get all the gold cards. And the way you can get gold cards too is just basically just save scum the whole way through. You can go to an insect, go to fight them, kill them. If you don't get the gold card, just go ahead and reset and do it over and over and over again. And I believe that's the way a lot of people have actually gotten their gold cards. So other than doing it for 100% completion, the gold cards do nothing for us. And I would like to see that changed into something that does give it to us, but sadly we're not going to see it. So alright, let's get to our next one. Alright, so rounding out number 1 for our list, and it's kind of interesting one. It's one that I thought would be pretty cool, but I really don't see it happening right now, not for the game anyways. And that is a Rick Moranis cameo. Now, for you younger kids, you might not know who Rick Moranis is, but you may know that this game is based off of the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which featured Rick Moranis being a scientist and accidentally shrinking his kids in his own backyard. That's what the game is basically loosely based on, and a lot of people have clamored for Rick Moranis to play a major character in the story, and that's just not going to happen. So however cool that would be, it's just not going to happen, especially with 1.0, unless they've kept some really good secrets from us, which they have, but I don't see that being a possibility. So that's all we got for this video, guys. That's 14 things that I think, in my opinion, are not going to come out with 1.0. They could surprise us, and I would be surprised and happy with some of these things being changed, but I just don't see it happening. So that's what we got for this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments below if you think there's anything that we might see in 1.0 or afterwards, or things that we definitely won't see. Do you agree or disagree? That's what we got for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks again for watching, everybody. If you like that video, go ahead and check out one of these videos right here. Thanks. Bye.